Hi, I'm Exisys, and this is Terra Invicta. Today we're having a look at the nose weapons again, this time the size 3 weapons. So we've got the heavy coil cannon up here, and I'm just using kind of the scaled up version of the last ship we were using. Got loads of defenses, got enough point defense to not get harmed. It's got enough armor as well to not get harmed by any lasers. It's got 4 Gs of combat acceleration, even though I don't actually do any tests with that in this one here. And so I did this test versus the surveillance destroyers again, just to have a kind of even base. And what we're looking at, of course, is how long time does it take us to kill this opponent. And now bear in mind this surveillance destroyer has 12 frontal armor. It is alien exotic, so it is laser resistant. But that only brings it up to about 15 points of armor anyway, and these lasers should be able to deal with 15 points of frontal armor. But as you can see, they do struggle quite a bit. It takes quite some time before the lasers start doing damage. But when they do start doing damage, it's usually pretty quick before until it dies. They are very powerful, these lasers, once you get close enough. But the coil weapons and rail weapons, they are just so much faster at killing things. And they start firing a lot earlier, and as soon as the slugs start hitting, they start doing damage. Of course, if you're meeting someone that actually has a decent point defense array, or if you were meeting something like this with the dual point defense lasers, it's going to take a lot longer time to melt those, or to get enough slugs through. I still think the Coilguns would come out on top, but that is something that I'm going to test in a future test. Right now we're just looking at the damage capability of the weapons. As you can see down at the bottom of this table here, I also tried out to replace the main weapon with 3 smaller weapons, and replacing the light rail cannon or the light coil cannon with the variants actually increase the time to kill. There's 2 small exceptions there, and that's with the 10-inch guns versus 112 and 110-inch gun, and with the light rail cannon ones versus the heavy rail cannon one. And that's because the heavy rail cannon just doesn't fire fast enough to put out enough slugs. They get bogged down by point defense until they're very, very, very close. And then once they are very close, of course, they start doing lots of damage, and they can actually take it out anyway. But in that case, if you're going to use heavy rail cannon ones, it's better to use the light rail cannon ones. But you don't want to upgrade them that way. So it's I would say it's probably better to wait until you got the rail cannon 2s. By the time you got battlecruisers, you should be able to build rail cannon 2s anyway, at least. And rail cannons 2 actually scored pretty well up here. And something that did surprise me is that they actually scored better than the heavy siege coils, the first tier of them. And the heavy coil cannon here actually came out a little bit better than I anticipated as well, considering how bad it's been in the smaller sizes. But here it actually managed to claw up at quite respectable. And you can see that they've got kind of like the tier you would expect them to have here as well. Well, the heavy rail cannon 3 scores a little bit higher than I would expect it to. I would expect the heavy coil cannon 2 to actually be better than the heavy rail cannon 2, but that's just the way it is. Up at the top there, it's the heavy siege coil was the fastest by far, but between the rail and the coil cannon it's a toss-up. You can probably just as well go with the rail cannon 3s and not spend the exotics, and say that 220, 230 research points from doing the coil cannons. The rail cannons they're just as good. It might be a little bit different, of course, once we face off against point defense, but from a damage perspective, that's the way it looks like. Okay, so we're starting out here with the heavy rail 1. We're starting out here with the heavy rail 1 class battlecruisers, and I wanted to show this because these don't do very well in this combat, and I kind of want to show you why that is. We can retract the radiators here, and we want to set it to padlock. I got it on full speed here, so we don't have to wait forever, of course. You'll see that and this ship up here is the Surveillance Destroyer as usual. It's got 2 laser batteries, a violet 512 centimeter laser cannon and a 64 centimeter orange laser battery. So you can see here now that the slugs are actually coming in. We're still good at full speed, of course. It's able to pick off almost all of these slugs. And there we got our first hit. The armor absorbed it all. And it had been hit before, so it did pitiful damage. And these lasers just keep up with this until we are so close that we are within the range of their point defenses. And that means they have shorter time to kill off all the slugs, of course. So we are now at 450 kilometers, and we're still picking off he's still picking off all of our slugs. I did manage to get one lucky hit in there before, because he decided to fire on one of our ships instead. And before they got in range. And now that we are closing in on range here, there we got another hit. And that one was full damage, and now we're starting to do proper damage, that we're within the 200 kilometers that the point defense can do. And now it's just a matter of time until we get enough slugs on him. There we go. And you don't want to be this close when you destroy your enemy. No, it's okay against one ship, of course, but if you're up against a fleet and they start being this close to destroying their first target, that's not a good position to be in. Okay, so here we have the heavy plasma 3 cannons we are testing. We're going in at the same 200 meters per second. Now, the plasma cannons, they have a very, very high muzzle velocity of 35 kilometers per second. And they can't be shot down by point defense. So in theory, they should be quite good. And they also have 22 or 21.4 damage, which is quite a lot. The main problem with this weapon is that 80% of the damage is shipping. That is 80% of that damage, or about 16 to 17 points of damage, can only be applied to armor. And then the remaining 4 gets distributed into the ship. So that's we're gonna have to speed this one up as well. Let's withdraw the radiators and unpause. We can remove the vectors, they're only in the way here. We don't want to look at those. And we can see when they start hitting here. And they should start firing any second here. And I'm going to slow it down once we start to take some hits. Here we go. We're right down at low speed. And we got a lucky hit here, it actually passed through the armor. But once they actually start hitting, they start burning off this armor really, really, really quickly. If we just do a few of these, you can see that now the armor is doing absolutely nothing. It can't do anything. And so now we just have to wait for this pitifully small amount of damage to actually kill off this ship. So pairing these ones up with a weapon that can actually kill the vessel will be a really good way to go. But plasma alone is not a good weapon. It's very good at stripping off armor. It's kind of like the hard counter to armor. But it's, as you can see, it just doesn't do enough damage to actually take out the ship. And this is a small destroyer, bear in mind. We're going in with 3 battlecruisers. We got more than 4 times his MC in this combat. And we're now at 450 kilometers and still haven't destroyed it. And I think this third one's actually managed to destroy it just before the merge. I can watch it this way, I guess. Yeah, we're just seeing it melt away there. It should go any second here now. There's not a component on this ship that is still alive. And you can see it's just before the merge we managed to destroy it, and that's way too late. But combined with other weapons, these are actually quite good. And we're going to go through the mixed loadouts in a different video So if you have any special mixed loadouts you want to see, you can tell me down in the comments and I'll see if I can incorporate them. Okay, so let's get into the weapons that actually seem sort of viable at least. So here we've got the 3x 10-inch cannons. Of course you could add a 12-inch cannon and a 10-inch cannon instead, but I found that having the 3 10-inch cannons is actually better. This, and with the railguns there, having more projectiles is actually better than having better and faster projectiles. We'll go into combat here as well. We'll just point them in the right way and turn the vectors off and wait for everything to actually start coming in. Do we have you selected? Yes, we do. And we'll just see what kind of thing these do. These actually take quite a long time until they start firing, because they've only got 250 kilometers of range. But once they are in range, they do massive amounts of damage. But that is kind of the drawback as well, why you can't use them in large fleet battles. Because in large fleet battles you need to destroy things at range. Because as soon as you're within the 600 kilometers, within the 600 kilometers you start taking a lot of damage from the lasers. And within 400 kilometers the alien lasers are absolutely devastating. Obviously not on the smaller vessels like this, and they're using their kind of base weapons here as well. And you can see we haven't even started firing yet and it's 400 kilometers away. Our armor is mitigating everything here still. And now we start firing, you can see this, at least on your computer, you can see this hailstorm of small slugs coming in. And it doesn't take a long time for us to start making some really good hits here. And everything has gone quiet here, and we just have to wait for these slugs to actually land here, and there we go. Okay, so let's have a look at lasers. More specifically, we've got the 720 centimeter UV phaser here, the best laser we can mount on these ships. And we can unpause, withdraw our radiators there, and padlock as usual. Let's turn the vectors off again. Let's speed this up so we actually start firing. And what you'll notice is that these weapons start firing a lot earlier. They got a range of 750 kilometers. And they got a very good armor penetration as well for what they are. So these are very competitive, at least against this one. See, they start doing damage as soon as they start firing. And they fire so fast that it doesn't have a chance. We probably knocked out all of its weapons already. And it's just a matter of punching through. Now you will note that the armor here is stopping damage every time we fire at it. So part of the damage is mitigated all the time here by the armor. And there we go. That is super quick. Okay, and let's go right to the top of the list. We've got the Heavy Siege Coil 3 here. And we're going in at 201 meters per second just as all the other ships, but if I were to play out this battle, I would go in at max speed and maybe even boost up a little bit. Velocity here does make a big difference, especially for the coil guns or the siege coils. And if we just have a look here, you'll see that it takes a little bit of time. At about 1,000 kilometers we can start firing. And these come in very tightly. And these are heavy slugs. I'm not going to be able to melt even the first one out there. 4 slugs and it's gone. This is half the time the phasers took. Okay, so I'll bring the table back up again here. And I did most of my summary here at the start of the episode instead. And you can see that the siege coils, they just destroy the opposition here. The heavy coiled cannons and rail cannon 3s actually do very well as well. They do short work of this destroyer. And all the coiled cannons actually really benefit here from having faster muzzle velocities than the rail cannons do. And the rail cannons here obviously have faster muzzle velocities than the smaller variants as well. And as you saw with the lasers, once you start piercing armor, you start doing damage very, very, very quickly with lasers. But you need to get within range to actually start piercing, and as soon as the enemies have frontal armor, that's going to take quite some time, which means you need something to get rid of that armor first, be it coil guns or plasma, to start shipping off that armor so you can get criticals through the armor. And as you see, the plasma cannons, they are worthless by themselves, but pair them up with either actually the coil cannons or the lasers, and you've got a really potent weapon form. So we're going to go through those mixed ones a little bit later, and as I said before, if you've got any suggestions on any favorite mixes you want me to try out, I will gladly do so. I think I will see what hull we use, but maybe we'll use a Titan so we can mount the biggest weapons on both the hull slots and the nose, so we can see the true power of combining the different weapon types. But that's going to be all for today, so thank you very much for watching, take care, and see you next time.